Hey mamas, my name is Alexa. This is baby Rach. Today we're going to be doing a 20-minute postnatal class. The first little bit is going to focus on just a full body stretch, just great to do every day. I know how hard it is to get some alone time, and then the next little bit will be working on building up your pelvic floor and core engagement. So at any point throughout the pelvic floor and core work, if you would like to do some more repetitions or you feel like you're not getting it, just pause the video and just practice a little bit there, especially if you're newly postpartum. It does take a little bit to reconnect your core and pelvic floor with your breath. So just be patient with yourself. And all you'll need today is a blanket or a towel underneath your knees if your knees are sensitive, and we'll get started. Starting in any comfortable seated position. Bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Allow the eyes to close. Take a deep breath in through the nose, filling up. And just exhale out through the mouth, releasing any tension. Stack the shoulders on top of the hips, maybe leaning a little bit back. Root down through your sit bones as you lengthen through the spine, crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling as you tuck the chin slightly. Just taking a couple moments to fully arrive here. Landing in your body. Just taking this bit of time for you, filling up your own cup. Slowly flicker the eyes open as you let your hands come towards the thighs. Bring the left ear to the left shoulder. You can walk the right hand out. If you need a little bit more, you can bring the other hand up and over top of the head. Just create a little bit of downwards pressure just to make the stretch a little more intense if you need. A couple deep breaths into the neck. And gently release, come back through neutral, and then just over to the other side, right ear to right shoulder. You can walk the left hand out. Optional to bring the other hand up and over top, a bit of downward pressure. And be sure here too to keep rolling that shoulder down and back. We want to keep opening up through the front of the body. Then releasing, bringing both hands back to the thighs, and we're just going to make some head circles, just coming back and forth, stretching through the neck a little bit more. I've never met a mom postpartum who didn't have a tight neck and upper back, so just be sure to do this for yourself once or twice a day, even just for a minute. And then we'll come back to neutral for the next one. Bring your hands to your shoulders. We'll just make some shoulder circles, opening up through the front of the body. So the typical postpartum position is hunched over, shoulders rounded. So we're going to really want to focus on doing the opposite, opening through the collarbone, shoulders down and back. Wonderful. And then we'll come back to neutral. We'll move on to our back. We're just going to work top down to do a little bit of a full body stretch before we get into the core and pelvic floor work. So bring the arms out on the inhale. Once again, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then on the exhale, round the spine, grab a hold of the wrist, tuck the chin. Inhale to open. Exhale, round the spine, grab the opposite wrist, tuck the chin. Just one more on each side. And what we're going to be doing here, I highly recommend doing this once a day if you can, or every other day. Really any time. Something is always better than nothing. Wonderful. We'll come back to neutral. We'll bring the feet out to diamond position, and we'll do some upper body circles. Again, just to stretch through the sides of the body a little bit. Move at your own pace. So as I was saying, I know how hard it is to just take some time for yourself, especially in those early postpartum days. So this is just a nice little routine just to make sure you get to all of the edges and sides of your body. Let's do a few in the other direction. In this class too, I do all of these exercises with my baby, usually laying right beside me. So everything here we're doing is going to be on the floor. So any floor work is typically really safe to do with a baby around as long as you have your eyes on them. So anything today, if you have your little one around, you can always lay your baby next to you on a blanket and do these alongside baby. And then I'll come back to neutral. We'll continue down the body. We'll bring the legs out in front of us. We're going to come into a forward fold to stretch into the back of the legs. So if your legs are quite tight, keep the knees bent, bring the feet a little bit closer towards you. Depending on how big your towel or blanket is, you can always use the towel or blanket as support as well if your back of your legs, your hamstrings are quite tight. So starting here, bringing the feet about hip distance apart. You can always bring them a little wider if you need. We'll start with the hands planting on the mat, fingers facing towards the body. Bend the elbows, but hug the elbows in as you bend. Take a deep inhale, lengthening, reaching here. Then folding from the hips, folding forward. Come as far as you can with a straight spine. Once you're as far as you can go, it's okay to let the spine round, let the head round. And keep flexing the toes towards the shins. Take a few deep breaths here. Gently walk the hands back up. We'll do that one more time. Hands to plant behind the body, bend the elbows, hug the elbows in towards the body and opening up through the collarbone, through the front of the body, bending here. Inhale to reach. Exhale, folding forward, reaching long spine, and then you can let your spine round. And if this is an extremely intense stretch for you, ease off a little bit. Even during postpartum, a relaxin, the hormone that causes some laxity in the ligaments and joints, is still present. That's the very well-known hormone that happens during pregnancy. Also, typically is what causes pregnant women to feel a little bit wobbly or off of balance. That's part of it. So it's still present postpartum. So what we want to do is when we feel like we're at max stretching capacity, we want to ease out a little bit because we don't want to cause any injury via overstretching. So if you feel like you're at your max at any point while you're stretching, just ease off a little bit to give yourself that space so you do not hurt yourself. Then make your way back out. Coming back to neutral again, shoulders down and back, deep breath. And just exhale out through the mouth, relieving any tension. Wonderful. We're going to make our way on to the ground. So first, to get to the ground, you're going to roll onto your side. Support yourself as you bring yourself all the way down to the ground. You can slide onto your side. Once you're there, we will roll onto the back. Coming into a bridge position. So bringing the heels in line with the hips, toes are facing forward. And you can just bring your hands alongside the body for now, or just let yourself rest wherever is comfortable. So just before we move into any movement, I want to cue the pelvic floor breathing and core breathing first. So this is really important to get a hold of before you start incorporating movement. Postpartum, it's extremely important to re-engage that connection with your pelvic floor, your core, and your breath. So what we're going to be doing here, we're going to be doing Kegels, but I'm going to walk us through it. So for the Kegel on the inhale, just as a reminder, inhales is always relaxing, letting go, releasing, opening. Exhales, we're going to do the active part of the Kegel where we contract the pelvic floor, draw it in and up. We draw the belly button towards the spine. And we'll repeat that. So for the Kegel, The action is drawing the vagina and the anus towards each other. It's like you're picking up a blueberry. So about like 2 out of 10 effort here. So it's quite subtle. So the action is you're drawing your pelvic floor muscles together and then drawing them up into the body. The action with the core is like you're drawing your belly button to your spine. And then on the inhale, we'll let the belly go, let the pelvic floor go. And I'll cue this as we go. So bring your hand to your belly just to be able to feel that core activation. So you can bring your head into neutral. So on the inhale here first, relax everything. Relax the pelvic floor, your core, your glutes, all of it relaxes. Exhale, pelvic floor lift, draw in and up. Draw the navel to the spine, core engaged. And then inhale, let the belly go, let the pelvic floor go. So again, it's really subtle. This connection is really important. We're gonna do a few rounds of that. So again, exhale, the active part of the Kegel, drawing in and up. And then draw the belly button to the spine. Then inhale, let the belly go, relax, release. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see. I'll see if you can actually see on me just to see how subtle the engagement is. So even without activating your core, just doing the pelvic floor work as it's part of the core, your abdominals should already engage. So that's why you should keep your hands on your belly just to see if you can feel that engagement. So inhale, relax completely. Exhale, lift in and up. You should feel some deep activation in your abdominals. And then belly button to spine. Inhale, release the belly, release the pelvic floor. Let's do 3 more. Exhale, draw in and up. Core draws in and up, belly button to spine. Inhale, relax, release, soften everything, soften the glutes. Exhale, draw the pelvic floor in and up. Feel that abdominals firing, in and up with the abdominals. Inhale, relax and release. 1 more. Exhale, pelvic floor engages, abdominals engage. And then inhale, release the belly, release the pelvic floor. And just one more thing I want to add before we work in the movement is we want to avoid that feeling of bearing down, or like if you're flexing your abs, that kind of motion, that's going to create more downward pressure on your pelvic floor, which is not helpful postpartum. We're doing the complete opposite. We're wanting to lift the pelvic floor in and up. Same with the core, which is really helpful for prolapse, which is quite common after delivering, and any form of incontinence. These are great to lift in and up. So if you ever feel like you're bearing down in any sort of exercise, stop, reset your core, make sure this connection is there first before you continue with any movement. So now we're going to try that with some movement. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be lifting the glutes up, lifting the hips to the sky. This is where we're going to be coming on the exhale. And then inhale, soften everything, relax, release, release the belly. So drive through the heels, keep the feet planted on the ground, drive through the heels, lift the hips up, activate the glutes. So this is where you're doing the Kegel, pelvic floor lifts in and up, core engages. Inhale, relax. Let's do a few more like that. Exhaling to lift. Inhale to lower. So really slow and controlled movements. We're not in any rush here. As you lift, pelvic floor engages, lift in and up, belly button to spine. Inhale, release. Let's do 2 more. Exhale, lifting in and up. Inhale, release everything. Last one, exhale to lift. Inhale to release. So as you develop the strength there, you can start doing them a lot faster, which are bridge thrusts. So you go up in about a second, you can develop a quicker rhythm once that core is engaged. But this is a really, really great starting point and a great first exercise for postpartum. So we'll roll over onto our side. You can use your arm as a pillow. We'll come into a C-shaped position. We'll do the clam exercise. So what we'll be doing is knees are stacked, ankles are stacked in a little C curve shape with the body. So keeping the feet together at all times, you're going to lift just the knee up, and you're going to fire the glutes here, the outer leg muscle. and then slowly releasing on the inhale. And make sure the hips stay stacked. We don't want to be rolling over. We want to isolate these muscles here. So exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. And again, same thing. You're engaging your pelvic floor and abdominals here on the exhale. Just remember, always relax on the inhale, and then you'll remember how to breathe in each movement that you do. Let's do a few more on this side. And just really slow and controlled movements. I recommend trying to do about 20 to 30 of these a day, especially when you're newly postpartum. I know it doesn't look like an intense movement, but these movements are really great at stabilizing your pelvic floor. Your glutes are really important for that, so it's really great to work these. And again, starting with something low intensity, not getting your heart rate up too much, just working on stability here. And we'll do one more exercise in this position. So you can keep the bottom leg where it is. The top leg, we're going to straighten out and then bring it behind the body a little bit. So again, we want to keep the hips stacked. Flex that top leg. And then on the exhale, we're going to lift the leg up. Inhale to lower, and make sure the leg is coming behind the front leg. So the legs are not stacked here, lifting. Lowering on the inhale. Exhale. Inhale down. Taking a few more here. And really slow and controlled movements. And eventually, once you are past doing these exercises, if you feel you want something more intense, you can always bring a resistance band around the legs just to add a little bit of weight. We'll come back to neutral. And you can roll onto your back and roll onto the other side. For demoing purposes, I'm just going to switch around. But we'll just come over onto the other side and do the same thing. So we're on our other side now, coming into the clam position, knees stacked, ankles stacked, feet stay together. And if you feel like your hip's rolling back, just bring your hand to your hip, make sure it's stacked. We'll lift the knee up. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale, lower. We'll just continue here. And if you do about 20 to 30 reps and you're really not feeling it, if you need a little bit more, again, you can always add a resistance band on across the thighs. I know this doesn't seem much at the beginning, but once you do 20 to 30 reps, you really start to feel it. You can feel your glutes firing. Let's do 5 more here. And you might notice one leg is much stronger than the other. It's super, super common. And last one. So same thing as the other side. Let's straighten the top leg, bring it a little bit behind the body. Flex the toes towards the shins. And on the exhale, you're going to drive up. Inhale, come back down. And once again, make sure the hips are staying stacked. We don't want to roll open. So keep your hand on your waist and make sure it is not moving. We're just moving from the glutes up. The hips are staying neutral. And keep driving out through that top heel. Keep flexing the toes. Doing 5 more here. No matter how much I do this, I always feel this one very quickly. For 3, for 2, and 1. Bring the knee back to stack on top of the other. Just with the support of your hand, just gently make your way onto your back. We'll bring the knees together. We'll bring the feet mat distance apart and just bring your hands to your belly. And then we'll just bring the knees side to side, just releasing any tension in the low back. Then bring the knees back together. Just hug the knees in just for a moment here. You can rock side to side if you'd like, just massaging out the low back. And then bring the feet back down. Once again, knees to touch, coming into a constructive, restful pose. Hands again to your core. Allow your eyes to close and just take a deep inhale in. Exhale out through the mouth, releasing any tension. Let's do one more like that. Deep inhale. And exhale, just releasing. I'm just taking a moment here to thank your body for all the hard work it has done and continues to do. And just remembering how strong you are. You've been through so much throughout your pregnancy and delivery. And even if you don't feel as strong or energized now, know it will return bit by bit. Just make sure to keep taking this time for yourself. Just to fill yourself up, so you can better take care of your baby and those around you. Namaste. So I can't stress how important it is to build up your strength in your pelvic floor and your core and linking that movement with breath throughout your postpartum recovery, especially before you move on to more complex movements or higher intensity exercise. If you would like to dive into this a little bit deeper, I welcome you to join our Facebook group. You can find it through my website at alexatorontow.com. It's a Facebook group that's completely dedicated to prenatal and postnatal health. I go live on there quite a bit and I break down Kegels, pelvic floor exercises, breath work, and just any movements that help support prenatal health as well as postpartum recovery. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments here. You can find me through my website, or if you want to join the Facebook group, I'm happy to answer any questions in there as well. And I wish you well on your postpartum recovery, and I hope to connect with you soon.